In July 2021, severe rainfall and sudden flooding caused thousands of people to be forced to flee their homes in the Chinese province of Sichuan. The storms were so powerful that they caused an increase in the water level in 14 rivers, which in turn swept away bridges and vessels as if they were nothing more than matchsticks, particularly in Bayan City. Nearly 2.7 million people make their home in this prefectural-level metropolis located in the northeastern part of Sichuan. On the 10th of July, a group of residents observed in astonished stillness as the river consumed every craft that could be seen. When the ship was swallowed up by the storm, fortunately there were no living beings on board. When looked at more closely, one can make out many different kinds of boats, rafts, yachts, and commercial ships floating on top of the waterfall's flow of water. The abrupt flooding in Greater Bayang left around 27,000 people without electricity and caused damages estimated to be worth $27 million across the province of Sichuan, which affected almost 120,000 people. Located in the southeast of Anhui province in China, the historic city of Xuanzhen has a history that spans 4 millennia and dates back to the Bronze Age. Because it is located in the basin of the lower Yangtze River, prolonged periods of high rainfall have the potential to cause widespread flooding throughout the area. This is exactly what took place at the beginning of July in the year 2020. The citizens of Xuanzhen watched helplessly as the city was devastated by the sudden flood. An ancient monument that dates back to the Ming dynasty, the Yangtze Bridge experienced an accumulation of debris on the sides of the bridge. The Yangtze Bridge finally gave way as the amount of pressure that it was under reached its maximum. On July 7, 2020, China increased its degree of response to national emergencies as a result of the torrential rains that had been falling for several days. Unpredicted flooding was reported in a number of towns and cities around the nation. The limits imposed because of the pandemic did not help the situation. The Yangtze Bridge, which spans the Shenong River and is designated as a historic landmark, has a length of more than 133 meters and a width of 15 meters. In the year 1536, architects working under the Ming dynasty constructed this bridge. Over the next 400 years, until its eventual collapse in 2020, it underwent a number of restorations and reconstructions. Zhengzhou is a prefecture-level city in Hunan Province, China. Hunan is one of China's 4 ancient provinces, and Zhengzhou is one of the 4 ancient provinces of Hunan. Zhengzhou has a storied history that dates back more than 2 millennia. This means that during the next 2,000 years there will be intense rainfall, unexpected landslides, and unexpected floods. According to the South China Morning Post's reporting, the month of June was a particularly stormy one in the province. The rising waters in Yongzhou had an impact on the lives of more than 400,000 people. The number of witnesses increased as several of them witnessed the collapse of their 2-story homes caused by the water. It's impossible not to feel compassion for the broken woman in the video when you watch it. It is impossible to fathom that one could lose everything in the blink of an eye. Even though they were able to save her life, it must have been quite upsetting to witness the river carry away all of her stuff while they were doing so. It wasn't just her house that was destroyed. Others did too. Because of the impending danger of collapse, the local authorities ordered the evacuation of a number of dwellings. The neighborhood was jolted when rivers flooded after it rained heavily for several days in a row. Landslides also caused the community to be shaken. In some instances, rescue workers had to wade through water that was up to their knees in order to save people who were in inflatable boats. A catastrophic landslide occurred in August 1917, forcing the whole population of the Swiss community of Bondo to flee their homes. This charming town, which is home to roughly 200 people, can be found just beyond the border between Italy and Switzerland. It is tucked away in the Valtellina Valley and is so remote that many regions do not see any sunshine during the winter. They are more likely to be affected by landslides and mudslides as a result of this circumstance. When 4 million cubic meters of dirt and debris came tumbling down on top of the village, it came perilously close to being wiped off the map. The moment that the landslide suddenly enveloped the entirety of the village was filmed by a security camera that was positioned outside of a local carpenter's workshop. Even though there is no sound in the video, you can still feel the mayhem that was caused by the mudslide. What was once a peaceful mountain estate is now being torn apart by a raging flood of filth and waste that is running through it. It didn't take long at all for the wind and water to carry away practically all of the buildings on the estate. A second clip offers an even clearer perspective, in which it is possible to see two guys standing still, and when the camera angle is changed, it is immediately clear that the area has been severely damaged. The earth slide becomes more intense, dragging more and more of the settlement down with it. First, there were individual items, and later there were full structures, such as a timber warehouse and even some kind of storage tank or silo. The mudslide that occurred in Switzerland was the largest one the country had seen in the past 130 years. It destroyed this man's home and company, in addition to burying the roadways it had destroyed. Nearly 5 kilometers in length, the landslide reached heights of dozens of meters in some spots along its path. According to the opinions of the experts, the alpine thawing was the cause of the area becoming unstable, which led to the occurrence. Over the course of the subsequent 6 years, from 2019 all the way up to 2023, the Swiss government contributed $12.1 million to the reconstruction of Bondo. It was anticipated that the projects would be finished and that life would go back to its usual state after that. During the month of August 2020, the Indian state of Jaipur, which has the 10th most populous city in a country that is home to more than 1.4 billion people, was devastated by unending days of ferocious downpours. One can only fathom the sheer number of people who were impacted when such rapid floods occurred. The city was rendered completely inoperable by this exceptional storm in just a few hours' time. When it was announced by the meteorological department that Jaipur should get ready for even more rain over the next couple of days, the outlook became even more gloomy than it already was. It began like a typical rainstorm, but after 6 hours of non-stop drizzle, the lowest lying parts of the city were completely inundated in water. There was a complete standstill in traffic, and the waves encroached on a great number of buildings. A recording shows residents who have become trapped in the middle of the street as the raging waters consume everything in their path. They had no choice but to press themselves up against the structures in the hope that the water would recede. As the water raced down the steep and narrow streets, some people were carried away by the strong currents that it created. Both India and Bangladesh had already experienced something that had never happened before during the monsoon season. The persistent storms that occurred in the weeks leading up to the middle of August caused multiple rivers to overflow, and the rains that occurred around that time delivered the final blow that caused the riverbanks to be breached. Location. Delhi travelers from all over the world are drawn to the popular tourist destination of Serdan, which is located in northern Sumatra, Indonesia. Travelers are drawn to the region by its lively nightlife, mesmerizing landscapes, and impressive waterfalls. On the other hand, on April 30th, 2023, the tourist district was shaken by an unexpected flood, which unexpectedly put an end to the relaxing days it had been enjoying. The Sembajé River flooded the densely populated neighborhood after days of torrential rains, forced it to overflow its banks and trigger the flooding. The turbulent flood swept away boats, cars, and nearly everything else that wasn't firmly anchored along the riverside, wreaking havoc on the many structures that were located along the riverbed.
Serem, woi. Serem, pasang. Kita tahu lagi mau pasang ya.
In the space of barely 10 seconds, what had been a tranquil brook became a raging torrent. If you look at it from a different perspective, the same white off-road vehicle seems like a water toy as it floats downstream. Take note of how high the water rises, since it is getting dangerously close to the roofs of the buildings. As soon as the waters began to ebb, search and rescue personnel moved in closer to the vehicle, and they were relieved to see that it had been carried away by the raging river without anyone inside. These teams conducted a search of the neighborhood for anyone who could have been trapped, and as far as can be determined, nobody was injured in the process. Rize is a province in the northeastern corner of Turkey that stretches along the coast of the Black Sea. Although living along the Black Sea shore has its allure, those who do so should be aware that the region is prone to unforeseen flooding as a result of the routinely strong rainfall. Midway through the month of July 2021, the people who lived in the Kiali neighborhood witnessed firsthand how rapidly a situation could worsen. The torrential downpours led to the river's overflow, which in turn caused dozens of vehicles to become stranded below roads and bridges that had fallen. Multiple recordings made in the region demonstrated the destructive potential of a severe storm that occurred in Turkey. There were certain locations that received more than 25 millimeters of precipitation in just one day. A volume of water of this magnitude has the potential to easily saturate natural systems, which may result in catastrophic floods. When approximately 3/10 of a meter of rain poured in a single day in June of 2020, the same region saw flooding that was quite similar to what happened just 1 year previously. After the flooding severed the power supply in other regions, rescue teams had a tough time making contact with a total of 12 settlements. To our great good fortune, nobody was in a life-threatening situation or severely hurt. In the end, the deluge was responsible for the loss of several lives, and although it was a natural disaster, experts feel that human irresponsibility contributed to at least some of the damage that was caused. The northern Black Sea region in Turkey was struck by catastrophic floods on August 19, 2021, marking the second natural calamity to strike the country that month. An incredible 4.5 of a meter of rainfall was recorded in a nearby village near Bozkurt in a span of less than 3 days. The downpour was responsible for a significant amount of damage, as evidenced by the fact that vehicles and debris were washed through the streets. Hundreds of villages had their bridges destroyed, their roads blocked, and their electricity turned off all at the same time. The quaint little community may be found in a valley in the province of Kastamonu, right on the banks of the Isine River. It is just about 2.5 kilometers from the coast of the Black Sea. There are photographs taken of the flooded city that depict the exact moment when the waters broke through the containment barrier and swamped the streets that were near it.
Çok kötü, çok kötü. Çok kötü. Şehrin içine gir. Çok kötü. Sen neredesin? Sen neredesin? Sağa sola yayılıyor. Abi basıyor şu an, o çay bahçesinin oraları hep suya.
Şuraya bak, şuraya bak, şuraya bak. Allah'ım yarabbim.
Burada da şu an burayı da bastı şu an. Bir taraf bir taraf su içinde.
The state of Uttarakhand, located in northern India, was devastated by massive floods on October 19, 2021, as a result of severe rains that occurred within a span of 24 hours. Rainfall measurements came in at an astonishing 0.38 meters. The Central Water Commission of India reported that the rivers Alaknanda and Sardo were overflowing well over critical levels, which resulted in widespread destruction and required locals to evacuate their homes. Images of buildings collapsing and rescue crews carrying people to safety emerged on the screen. The saturation of the landscape may have created a small landslide, which can be seen in one of the recordings. At a different place, a group of guys are interlocking their arms to form a human chain in order to assist in the rescue of others who are stranded, while turbulent waters are all around them. As soon as the rain stopped falling, search and rescue crews jumped into action with determination, utilizing heavy machinery to clear roadways that had been blocked by debris. Sadly, 27 people lost their lives as a direct result of the flooding in October 2021. In other parts of the city, over 600 people required rescue, and that number only accounts for the occurrences that were recorded. It is difficult to predict where, in the future, nature may choose to vent its wrath. So it is reasonable to anticipate that such reports will serve as a moving reminder of the unquestionable force that nature possesses.